Happy Monday morning. It's Sergeant Soldier, and I'm here with Hank of HankCo in his new Captain America helmet, and from one of the early seasons of the Venture Brothers. And it is a Biff Bang Pow Monday. The creators of the Venture Brothers were very into when they went all in on all the characters of their show that they were going to make an action figure of. They didn't really look to 12-inch. They were into Mego. And so that's what's inspiring me when Adam's doing his Mego Monday to kind of go through my collection of Biff Bang Pow Mego sized the Venture Brothers characters. And Adam has led the way again, and starting with the villains. And I did last week with Henchman and the Mighty Monarch. And they're kind of with Dr. Girlfriend involved. They're loosely involved with the Guild of Calamitous Intent. But this week, what I have with terrible lighting is two of my villains. And one is Phantom Limb. Billy Quizboy was recruited by the OSI to go in and become Phantom Limb when he was a professor teaching Dr. Girlfriend, of all things, who was going to later on be his number two, kind of Queen Etheria, in this strappy suit like out of The Fifth Element. The character that Mia Jovovich played. I mean, that's really what it looks like. But this is Phantom Limb, and he is represented by kind of clear that when Billy Quizboy turned on the growth machine, because if you watch the show, the professor, he had these like robot arms, but he had these tiny little arms, so he couldn't be in legs. But he had created robotic arms or bionic arms to kind of slip over his tiny little arms. But to do a regrowth, his machine, it like turned his limbs, so he like walks around looking like a walking torso. And you can see him in the kind of I don't know why. I guess these are the characters that are out by this time, but the backing is no longer the helper robot. It's kind of the full line that they had produced, and then including the convention special, and and we'll be showing more of these guys, some of the secondary characters, and later on. But since we're doing villains, and then we have a character that comes in, and it's Dr. Henry Killinger with his magic murder bag, and he has an umbrella that does like, oh my God, I'm going to Mary Poppins kind of thing. He flies around, and this has a kind of good representation of secondary characters along with bad guys. And so again, there's Shore Leave. I love that character. Um, anyway, but this is Dr. Henry Killinger. He comes into the Venture compound at one point, and kind of points out that if Dr. Rusty Venture, the honorary degree from a Mexican university, Dr. Venture, a pale comparison of his dad. He comes in and hires Venchman, and kind of turns everything around, makes the Venture compound start making money, and then once Rusty kind of figures out he's like trying to get him to be a villain, to arch enemy his own brother, which is a a tumor carried in Rusty's body forever until it came out in like season 3 or something like that. But Henry Killinger, I love the mask. He has, he has that thick Henry Kissinger accent when he speaks, and never takes the mask off. And he comes in really important all the way at the very end. He's like this huge callback that it turns out, all his. I don't want to ruin it for anybody because, especially, it's towards the end, and we got the movie coming up. I've heard that all the voices are in the can, and they're waiting on the animation to be done for the movie to kind of act as a season 8 and to close up the series finally, because it was summarily canceled by Adult Swim. Yep, right in the middle of season 7, right as they're about to put out season 8 and finish everything up, they just canceled it. So it started looking for a home. I think it just has ended up being a movie. But anyway, that's, back over here to me and Hank of HankCo from my 1/6 scale G.I. Joe, minor characters can be classic collection. I wanted the younger generation of clones to be the classic collection as opposed to my GI clone idea of the all heroes being a GI Joe, even Shaggy and all that. But I think this has been. I like these villains. They both play just. They're just part of the well-written series of the Venture Brothers, and they hang up on my wall. I have to take all these down 2 at a time, and kind of match up what became of Mego and why people love it so much, and why what Adam's doing is so important to kind of put out there in our club of, yeah, we all probably had some of those, especially in that transition between G.I. Joe and, a year was a long time for an 8-year-old. Having lived all of 8 years, your experience isn't that great. So it seems like a long time that this transition between, you get the card at Christmas that promises to send you some 3 3/4 inch Star Wars figures, and that's the first you're ever going to collect. But they're still putting out Super Joe, and there's Mego, Planet of the Apes, all over the place and all that. So that I can see why the creators of the Venture Brothers and all the cultural references they make to Scooby-Doo and Johnny Quest and so on, that their villains are really kind of throwbacks to the Phantom, but it's Phantom Limb. And they're Dr. Henry Killinger. I love their pun names of all of their characters, like, the OSI officer Shore Leave. Of course he's gay, but he's the sassy, hilarious. You can tell it comes from experience of just being around men like that are just so funny. Anyway, that's been a Bit Bang Pal Monday. I hope y'all enjoyed it, and we'll see y'all in the funny papers.